Hi, this is Cynthia Horner from Right on Digital, and I am here today with Rodney Damon Collins, and he is going to talk to us today about his illustrious career in the film and television industry. And I also have a few fun facts that I'll have him discuss that he is not aware of. So, welcome, Rodney. And the first fun fact that I want to discuss with you before we get into your career is the fact that we have something in common. We are both from Toledo, Ohio.
No way. Are you serious?
Yes, that is where my voice came from. Everyone always asks me, why do I sound the way I did? Well, I learned how to talk in Toledo. So I figured I would mention that because there aren't a lot of people in the business that are from Ohio. There are people from the music business, but not necessarily in the film and television world. So I wanted to throw that fact out to you right away.
Wow.
Yeah. So now I would like to talk to you about your acting career. You've won various awards and you're actually on various platforms that many of our viewers and readers would see. So why don't you talk about some of the most current activities that you're allowed to mention that would be of interest to everybody?
Okay. Well, I'm glad you mentioned aloud. Hopefully this strike is over very soon. So,
Right.
but I am excited because my career over the past 7, 8 years out here in Los Angeles has grown from one film credit when I moved out here to over 42 TV and film credits. I have my own production company. My son and I run that. He is a graduate of Miami of Ohio, and he works out here at NFL Network. And we have a company called JRC Legacy Productions. And it's basically named after him because it's about me leaving a legacy. We've produced several short films ourselves, and we just finished casting a podcast crime series that we're producing entitled Wilson Hall, and that will be available on all podcast platforms coming up in the near future. It stars the one and only Patrice Fisher, is a very close friend of mine, is an actress known for Saints and Sinners and a couple other shows back that are still airing out on TV. Some of my other recent work that I can talk about is a film that I did called Play It Again All Night Long. And that film is actually airing right now in various film festivals. And I just got a call from one of the producers of the film where I am nominated as Best Male Actor. So this will be hopefully my second time winning Best Male Actor in a film festival. This is the Fantastic Horror Film Festival. It's in San Diego. My character is named Deacon, and he's a leader of a rock band, believe it or not. And I was able to kind of act like I play guitar. I know how to play piano, but I don't play guitar. But I was able to, act like it, in the film. So I obviously did a pretty good job. So those are some of the projects that I have coming out right now. I would love to share about my credits. You can always look me up too by going to IMDb. And you type Rodney Damon Collins, you can see every single project that I've been a part of, every single television show, film, everything that I've done. And I'm very grateful for my career.
Wow, you've done a lot. Now tell me, how did you first get into the business?
Okay. Well, the funny thing is I started acting when I was in high school. I wrote my first sketch comedy as a senior in high school. And then when I got to college, I dabbled in it a little bit, but with me being first generation college, I didn't really want to come home and tell my parents who were struggling to pay for me to go to college that I'm a theater major. Toledo. The last thing I'm gonna do is come home and tell my parents I'm a theater major, and I'm the first one to go. So I was like, nah, I'm gonna leave that alone and just keep this up under wraps. But after college, I received a job offer with a company and I moved to Cleveland, Ohio. I lived there for about 20 years. And when I got to Cleveland, I got involved with the arts a little bit more. And I was in a play before moving out here entitled Soulmate. And it was produced by Philly Wheaton. And he was one of the people I credit to kind of helping to reignite the passion and the desire to get back in the industry. My son and daughter were in college at the time, and my wife was like, maybe it's time for you to go back in the industry. So we decided at that time that we'll take a deeper look. Then I received a job offer to move to LA. And, that's a great opportunity. So we moved out here to California. 6 months after they moved me here, they laid me off. Wow. What do you do when you get laid off in LA? It's like I decided to reinvent myself. And after some time with prayer and talking to my wife and family, decided to go both feet into the pool and go right after my career in the industry out here. I didn't know anyone out here. So I spent my first couple of years doing a lot of background work. I didn't know anybody. So the only way I can get to know anybody was to just get on the TV sets and be around there and learn. And the funniest thing happened to me my first day ever working background. I met Kerry Washington, and
Oh,
it was Scandal. It was for the TV show Scandal. They had a suit like kind of fitted perfectly for me because I guess when they picked me for the role that I was supposed to be there for as background, I was supposed to be in a scene with Kerry Washington the whole day. So I stood by her for 12 hours. She was one of the sweetest people I ever met. She was very nice, even though she had to focus on her lines and prepare for her character. She still spoke to me before I even had to speak to her. And then, she actually admitted, she told me that she started out doing background work before her career grew to another level.
hmm.
And it encouraged me because, with her being from New York, she shared that, with me. We had some time to talk. And Angela Bassett was directing the episode that day. So I'm standing here like, oh my goodness, my first day on a professional set. And then she walks by, she waves and says, hello, how you doing? I was like, wow. She may never remember me, but she still, just spoke. And it was just like, this is going to be a good day. And I'm a firm believer that you have to speak life into your situations. I'm not a name it, claim it person, but I definitely believe that you have to speak. There's power in the tongue. So I would always stop at a trailer whenever I would walk on a professional set, and I would pray. I thank God for my for my roles coming for me. I would, just thank him in advance. And I was standing outside a trailer. It was my second day working on Scandal. And after I finished praying, I'm just standing there, and then Joe Morton, who played Kerry Washington's father on Scandal, comes out. I'm like, whoa, this is his trailer. And he walks right up to me, shakes my hand, introduced himself, said, my name is Joe. He said, you're going to be fine, young man. I'm like, did he just hear?
Wow.
Did he just hear me talking about my career? It was just like those type of moments were encouraging to me. And then I tell everybody this important lesson that if you ever want to have your career excel, be willing to support someone else's vision who's already working in the career you want to be in. So there was a film that was filming out here, Emerson Heights. It was an independent project, and it was at a restaurant called Castaways in Burbank, which I love Burbank. I like Castaways restaurant too. I go there every year now. It's one of my favorite spots because of this story. I decided to put my name in the hat as they was looking for somebody to do a background job on a Sunday at 4 o'clock. I'm like, I'm not doing much. I'll see if I'm available, if they want me to come in and work with them. So I submitted myself immediately. Within an hour, the producer called me. It's like, hey, we like your look. We would love to book you for the day. It's not paid. It's just the experience. I was like, I'm new to LA. I've only been here a couple of years. Sure, I'll take it. So I go to the set, knowing that it wasn't paid. I was still ready in my dress, the way I was supposed to be dressed. I was there 30 minutes before I was needed. And I even beat the production crew who were coming from another location. I beat them to the location, to Castaways restaurant. And I'm sitting in the car. The producer comes up to me and says, how long have you been here? I was like 30 minutes. I was just waiting. And it's like, just nodded. I'm like, okay. Yeah, you can come on in. I was like, okay. So I go inside the restaurant and we start working. And as we start running the scene a few times, after about the fourth time, director yells, cut. I was like, okay, guess I'll go get me some crafty. as I'm walking away to Crafty, I kind of glance to see the executive producer and the director, and they're talking. I'm like, wonder what's going on over there. Next, you know, the EP comes up to me. EP is the executive producer, and he's like, Rodney, are you an actor? I said, am I an actor? Yes, I am an actor, by the way. And so they said, well, the scene that we got you doing, we actually have some lines for you because we want to make it seem more natural in the flow of the film. I was like, oh, I think I can handle that. And they said, oh, by the way, we're going to pay you for the day. I'm going to credit you and bump you up to a principal for the day. I was like, whoa. So I went there just to serve the project, not expecting anything. And all of a sudden, I'm ended up getting paid, becoming the principal for the film, getting lines. And then before you know it, the executive producer, one of the other producers, she recommends me for commercials to this day. She'll send an email saying, hey, I know this great actor named Rodney. If you're looking for somebody who's good at what he does and you can trust him, book him for this now. So your name, is very important, not just in Hollywood, but whatever you do. So that's a lesson I learned. So that's how my career started really growing out here in Hollywood.
Wow, this is such an incredible story. There's so many takeaways from it, including the fact that speaking to people, whether you know them or not, um, networking, being prepared, and being early. All of this has had an indelible impact on what you have done. And I am really enjoying this interview. This is incredible. And on top of all of that, you have a really good look. Can you give us a couple of your grooming secrets?
well, thank you for one. I'm a little blushing a little bit right now. You can't see, but thank you. Well, one thing I do is I go to bed. I get my sleep at night. I work out typically 4 days a week. I just believe that you have to take care of this temple that you have if you want it to do what it needs to do. I still eat my junk food. I have a couple days a week where I eat whatever I want. And
Okay,
then
so that's why you mentioned craft.
Crafty, yeah. I definitely, yeah, I enjoy good food. So I'm not vegan, but I eat in moderation with whatever I eat. So that's how I believe that's how my diet is. I just eat in moderation and I take good care of my body. I stay active and I really work on meditating and keeping the right mindset. Every day, I write 3 things that I'm grateful for in my journal. I'm writing a book right now. It's a brief book called, it's going to be about 40, 50 pages. Be Grateful. This is a 31-day journal that people can use that can help them plug into being grateful and being present to where they're at. So I think that really affects me, the way I look, the way I feel, is that I'm able to focus on contentment, not complacency, but being content where I'm currently at and seeing the good about my situation.
Oh, wow. And you've written a book before. So can you talk about that? Because that's something else we have in common. I'm very passionate about that particular topic.
Yes. I wrote a book entitled Shattered, A Journey Through the Pieces. And it's not an autobiography because I haven't been around long enough to do that yet. I still think there's a lot more work to be done before that's done. But it's basically different parts of my life where I've had to learn various principles to get me to live the life that I believe God meant for me to live. And most of my life I spent trying to fulfill other people's expectations of who I was or what I should be doing. And it led me to a depression. It led me to experiencing a major fallout several years ago, over a decade ago. Thankfully, it's been a while since that happened, but it caused me to go through, deal with a bout with mental illness, and I had to fight through that. It took me to the point of where I nearly took my own life, and I can talk about that freely though now. As a Black man, I'm free to talk about it now. At one point, we couldn't talk about it, but I really didn't want to be here, but thankfully I had people around me and I let them speak into my life. I did go to therapy, which I'm a firm believer in practicing and going to therapy and working out your issues. So I took time to really do the work. and I still practice those things every single day. That's why gratefulness is one of the most important things, because it really does help me stay in the right mindset no matter what's going on. Like even when the strike started, everybody's like, well, what you gonna do? I was like, well, let me take inventory of where my career is. Okay, the industry will be back. There's several other gifts I have. Let me use those gifts. It's not the end of the world. So,
Mhm.
things like that that help you really have the right perspective. And I wanted to create a safe space for men to talk about mental illness.
Mhm. And it's
And
very important. I was the publicist on a book that was called Black Pain, and it was written by a fellow publicist, Terry M. Williams, and it was about the fact that at the time that this book was written, which was several years ago, we were not talking about mental health or anything like that because it was kind of like a secret, especially in African American homes. So I think that it's very good to be able to discuss it now. And now mental health is one of the major concerns within the world and definitely in the United States. So you're hearing more about it and people are speaking their truth.
it's
So,
beautiful. Honestly, it is, because I remember as a boy, sometimes your aunts and uncles would be like, hey, stop crying. Boys don't cry. Boys don't do this. It's like, oh my goodness. So what do I do with this pain when I feel it? It was hard, and I understand the rationale behind, that type of mindset was, the world is tough, so you got to be tough. But it's like, I still need to be able to show when I'm hurting, and I need to have a safe space to show that I'm hurting and not let it build up. So that's what it is. That's what it's about.
okay. Well, I thank you for answering that question. Now, I want to go back to grooming for one more moment because
Sure.
there are two areas that you didn't discuss that I want to discuss, which are your beautiful skin. How do you take care of your skin and your hair?
Okay, well, two things. I have my daughter who's an esthetician, who's always on me, and I have an incredible dermatologist, and her name is Dr. Mavis Billups. I'm shouting her out in Beverly Hills. She's a strong Black woman who's a doctor who takes care of her clients. She told me that me and Regina King are her favorite clients. I was like, oh, well, we need to schedule appointments where I come and she comes so I can meet her. But so those are two things I do to make sure my skin is really protected. And you were asking of my hair. Oh, well, I've been cutting my own hair since I was in seventh grade. So
Oh,
I'm very,
really?
yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I went to the barber and I was like, Dad, I don't like the way, the barber lines and does stuff to my hair. And he was like, well, if you don't like it, do it yourself. So he bought me a pair of clippers. And from seventh grade, I went bald headed a lot of times in seventh grade because I would, make a little nick or something like that. But I got really good at it. And so to this day, I cut my own hair. I cut all the basketball players, football players, everybody in college. I was like one of the barbers on campus. I learned to use that skill just mainly. And my son. My son has really never been to a consistent barber except when he went to college. And when he got back home, I've been his barber since then. So I'm grateful for that skill set because it's just, I know how to take care of my hair. I know the way I like it.
Wow. That's an interesting story too. You've definitely got a home with us. Now, there's one last question that I'm going to ask you, and this goes back to you as an actor.
Okay.
You've been involved in the horror genre. So,
Yes.
can you talk about that? Because that's actually a growing area for African Americans. A long time ago, if a black person was in a scary movie, my friend singer Brandy, who'd been in one of those before, said that
Yeah.
black people always get killed. That's what where we were known in the horror genre, but now we have different people that are directing, producing these types of films. We have moved out of being the first kill to being the leading character. So, can you talk about that since you're involved in that genre?
Of course. One thing that I've learned is that horror films are not always about a monster or a demon. Like the TV show Lovecraft Country showed, horror is racism. So horror can be seen in a lot of different ways. The monster movies, like what we used to see, the Freddy Krueger and stuff like that. Um, those were never the films that would ever scare me. The films that would actually be horror to me would be something that could really, really happen in real life. So those are the types of things. Now, as far as the way what I do with horror is that one, I'm still very particular about what horror films I take because I know some of them can go further than I want to go with it as well. But I'm excited about the fact that we're able to participate in this genre because it actually is the most popular form of filmmaking. If you notice, horror films are released year round. It's not just Halloween. You can go to the movie theaters and trailers pop up in March for a movie get ready to come out in June, and you're like, I thought it was Halloween. No, all times of the year. So it's a very popular genre, and I'm glad that we're in that space telling stories. And I love what the director does, who directed Get Out. Last name is Peele. Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele.
Yes, Get Out. Like Get Out is a horror film, but you don't see monsters and stuff in that film. But you do see the horrors of racism. How the character is kidnapped and taken to the sunken place. So I love the fact that you can tell horror stories in a lot of different ways. So I laugh about it because we'll look at a film, we'll look at even some reality TV, and we'll see people arguing and fighting and stuff like that, and we'll be like, oh, that's just regular TV. I was like, in a way, that's horror as well, because you got human beings fighting each other over some nonsense. So to me, that's horrific. So I love the fact that horror is a genre you can be very diverse with the storytelling in.
Mm-hmm. Now tell me, what are your social media handles?
Okay, well, everywhere is Rodney, Rodney, Damon, Damon, Collins, Collins. I can be found like that anywhere on the net, on social media. As soon as you start typing that name in, that's what pops up. That's how I'm branded.
Okay. Thank you so much for this interview with Right On Digital, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Well, thank you so much. It was an honor coming from someone who used to read the magazine as a teenager. So to be a part of this is like I got chills right now by talking to you.
Oh, that is so nice to hear.